Good afternoon, students. Now let us see about the drugs acting on the uterus. Today's topic is drugs acting on the uterus. Now the drugs acting on the uterus are divided into uterine stimulants and uterine relaxants. Uterine stimulants are also known as the oxytocics. These are the drugs which cause uterine contractions. These are the oxytocin, ergot derivatives. In that you have ergometrin, methyl ergometrin, prostaglandins, that is the prostaglandin E2, prostaglandin F2 alpha, 15-methyl PGF2 alpha and misoprostol. Now coming to the oxytocin. Oxytocin is synthesized in the supraoptic and paraventricular nuclei of the hypothalamus. It is stored in the posterior pituitary and it is released from the posterior pituitary on suckling and during parturition. So parturition, that is the labor. During the labor it is released, and during suckling, when baby suckles the breast, that time the oxytocin is released from the posterior pituitary. Now coming to the pharmacological actions of oxytocin. Oxytocin mainly acts on the uterus. Now let us see the action on the uterus. It stimulates the uterine contractions. The sensitivity of the uterus is increased by estrogens and it is decreased by the progesterone. Estrogen increases oxytocin receptors and so it increases the sensitivity to the oxytocin. Sensitivity is increased during the last trimester of the pregnancy. There is a sharp rise near the term. It increases force and frequency of contraction. Only the fundus and the body of the uterus is affected, while the lower segment is not affected. So there is an increase in force and frequency of contraction of the fundus and the body and not the lower segment. Now continuing with the pharmacological actions of the oxytocin. At low dose there is complete relaxation between two contractions. So when oxytocin is given at the lower doses, there are contractions, but there is relaxation in between the two contractions. During relaxation there is a blood flow to the fetus and this helps maintaining the circulation to the fetus and oxygen is provided to the fetus, thus preventing fetal asphyxia. At higher doses there are severe contractions without any relaxation in between, and this can lead to the fetal asphyxia because there is no relaxation in between the two contractions at the higher doses. Now coming to the action on the breast, there is contraction of the myoepithelial cells which leads to the milk ejection. On cardiovascular system at higher doses, you can see there is vasodilatation and hypotension, and this can lead to reflex tachycardia. Vasodilatation leads to the flushing. So there is hypotension and tachycardia at high doses. Now coming to the preparation of the oxytocin. Oxytocin is available as ampoules for intramuscular and intravenous infusion. It is not effective orally as it is a peptide. So it is not available in tablets and capsules, only available for the parenteral use. Now coming to the therapeutic uses of the oxytocin. The first important use is the induction of labor. Oxytocin is a drug of choice for induction of labor. It is given at low dose by slow IV infusion. So you have to start the infusion at very low doses and then you have to monitor the oxytocin infusion, you have to monitor uterine contractions, maternal blood pressure, fetal heart rate, maternal heart rate. So all these important parameters should be monitored. Now why oxytocin is preferred for the induction of labor? Oxytocin is preferred for the induction of labor because dose and rate of infusion can be monitored according to the response. It has a very short half-life, so action can be terminated easily by stopping the infusion immediately if there are signs of fetal distress. So due to short half-life, the action can be terminated easily by stopping the infusion if there are signs of the fetal distress. At low dose, there is complete relaxation between the two contractions, and during the relaxation the blood flows to the fetus, thereby preventing fetal asphyxia. So these are the important points why oxytocin is preferred for the induction of labor. First is that dose and rate of infusion can be monitored according to the response. Due to short half-life, action can be terminated easily by stopping the infusion if there are any signs of fetal distress, and at low doses there is relaxation in between two contractions. So during relaxation, blood flows to the fetus and thereby preventing the fetal asphyxia. Another important point why oxytocin is preferred for induction of labor is that it does not contract the lower segment. Oxytocin does not contract the lower segment, hence there is no interference with the descent of the fetus. Fetal descent is not obstructed, or there is no interference with the fetal descent. So this is a very important point in the action of the oxytocin. Second important use is in uterine inertia. Uterine inertia is a condition where labor does not progress. There are no contraction, or the contractions if occur they are very feeble or weak. So oxytocin is given in this condition to increase the intensity and frequency and force of the contraction, as well as duration of the contraction is increased during labor.